everyone, my name is Ksenia and my guest here today is the sauce, Alex Zayne.
Hello, it's the sauce god, the flavor maker, the taste maker. Hello, in so many ways from me and probably Taco Bell. This is not endorsed by Taco Bell, but
Taco Bell is here in spirit.
But they're always here in spirit. They're here inside of my stomach right now.
Also always.
Also always, yeah.
I'm really happy to have you here.
I'm stoked to be here.
Yeah. Anticipated interviews on my channel, I think. It's just this is the question that I like to ask wrestlers a lot because I feel like we talk about gimmicks in the sense that like, oh, I do this and this and then that and that, but what is your gimmick supposed to invoke in the viewer?
Oh, if you want or crave Taco Bell after any of my appearances, then I have succeeded.
Consider job done.
Right, yeah, I'm like, check. Like everyone's like, oh, I just bought a party pack, like on Twitter, because like I wrestled. And I'm like, that's the goal. That's the goal right there.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Perfect. And this is like, again, not in a bad way, but like less of a serious gimmick, right?
Of course.
And
yeah.
A lot of people talk about taking wrestling seriously and stuff like that, and that implies to them dunking on like comedy gimmicks a lot. But I feel like there's a big difference between taking wrestling seriously and taking yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Where does this line
I talk about that a lot actually with wrestlers and stuff. Is like, I don't know, you just can't take yourself too seriously. Like realistically, we're out there just like fighting for, I don't, you know, like.
Yeah. But are there things that in wrestling as a wrestler you have to be serious about, and what are those things, and what's the difference between like being a lighthearted gimmick versus like?
I mean, on the back end of things, like, I mean, just safety and sort of a camaraderie around, like, I don't know, like we see some people take liberties, shoot on people, whatever, like that's a pretty serious thing, of course.
Most definitely.
And then people even if they have like a more lighthearted gimmick, they take, I'm probably not one of these people, but a lot of times they take certain things more serious, like, and usually they'll just kind of let you know beforehand, like, oh, hey, this is my serious thing. I don't do this, or I have to do this, or whatever it is. Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of different with everyone, but the whole like brotherhood, the brother, is very important to most of us. Like as soon as you're like in the whole scene, then like you could barely I could barely know you, and someone fucks with you, and it's like, no, that's my brother. Like, you know, even if it's
family. People say family.
Yeah.
But this
right. Yeah. I say brother. Same thing. Same thing. You're my brother. No. Yeah, your brother.
I'm a brother.
You're your brother. She got the brother treatment.
Love that.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the thing that people really want to hear about: the Taco Bell endorsements / packages. How did that come about? How did that happen?
Actually, it was really random because I was at a show in St. Louis, Anarchy, and I was doing that show, and I was just backstage, and I hadn't like. It's pretty rare for me not to do like an abundance of like Taco Bell related posts and adding them all the time, and they're probably just like, shut the hell up, this guy. And at this time, it was kind of like a dry spell for like a week or two. Like I hadn't done anything significant. I think the last thing.
And they started to miss you.
Yeah. They were like, wait, where'd he go? Right?
Where'd the Taco Bell guy go?
Right. And I think the last thing I had done at the time was maybe like the Baja Blast underwater. Picture or whatever,
so cool.
the Nevermind thing. yeah, throw that in. So it's like a couple weeks later maybe, and I'm at that show, and just randomly I'm just backstage, and like Taco Bell follows me, and I see it immediately. Like when it happened, I'm like looking at my phone, and it just like pops up a notification. I'm like, oh, I just start freaking out, and I don't even have words, so I'm just like, ah, and people are like, what's happening? Did you get stung by a bee, right? And so I just didn't even say anything to anyone. I just hit it and just like immediately slid in their DMs and was like, I'm trying to be the first wrestler on Feed the Beat. Which if you don't know what Feed the Beat is, Taco Bell sponsors touring bands like every year or whatever. And I was like, that's just like how I jumped in, which is probably like the least professional way. Don't take my advice as far as like professionalism goes. And then they write back and they were like, hey, we noticed you have a show in LA tomorrow, and we would love to bring you a shirt or something. We noticed it's sold out. Can we just mail it to you? And I was like, I could just put you on the list. Like, it's not sold out for me.
You're like, my special guest for the show is Taco Bell.
Yeah,
That's a corporation.
Yes, they're bringing the whole company. So I was like, yeah, just let me know like a name to put on the list and how many people you want. And they let me know. And the girl who runs the social media, she like shows up and like, I thought she was gonna bring like a shirt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, cool, okay, I get to talk about shirt. This is awesome. No, she brought like bags, and I was like, whoa, I got like to pack this home.
And we saw that
somehow.
on Instagram.
Yeah, right. Tons of stuff. I actually like have shot like multiple like weird TikTok things to do with like all the swag because it's a ridiculous amount of stuff. And yeah, so shout out to her, shout out to Taco Bell for all the cool swag, and there's like gift cards and stuff. So I've been eating free Taco Bell for like months now.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is
and someone got me like on my birthday. A fan brought me $100 Taco Bell gift card, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like, that's a lot of Taco Bell, even for me. Like, that's
Even for you.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's like a couple weeks worth of Taco Bell."
Does this mean that officially you're the first ever wrestler to be sponsored by fast food?
So
I think so.
I don't even know. I can't speak for them, right? So I don't even want to call it a sponsorship. But it's like,
No, like
so far,
a
yeah,
collaboration.
like yeah.
Friendship.
Right, yeah. We linked up, yeah.
Friendship with Taco Bell.
Yeah, we've definitely. That's ultimately the goal. But I guess technically we had a match that was sponsored by a local Taco Bell. We had a match that was sponsored by a local
The only
Taco
other
Bell
thing
'cause
I
I
can
was in-
think about is the Slim Jims and
Yeah.
Dutchman collaboration.
Yeah.
But that's like the closest that comes to it because I've been giving it some thought.
Right.
So I think you're making history here, honestly.
Ethan Page, I think he's the one that had a lot to do with the Arby's thing too. He had a lot of Arby's swag sent to him and stuff. So we're competing for the first Taco Bell and Arby's sponsored athletes.
Yeah, just official
Yeah,
sponsors.
like
athlete.
who's gonna have the logo put on their gear first? You know?
I'm rooting for you.
Right. Thank you.
Also, one thing that makes me like so happy about your collaboration with Taco Bell is because I always find joy in things that show that wrestling is becoming mainstream.
Right.
And a lot of people disagree. A lot of people think that it's a bad thing that wrestling should be this underground boys club type of thing. But to me, like whenever it's mainstream, like say on TikTok right now, a sound from an MJF promo from AEW is trending
That's awesome.
outside of wrestling space.
That's killer, yeah.
You're collaborating with a fast food chain that's very much outside of wrestling space.
Right.
So where's your stance on that? Do you feel wrestling should try to be mainstream?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And why?
absolutely. 100%. Well, I mean, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, sort of thing. You know, it's like probably showing my age on it because I don't even know what year this was. I just remember being a kid and Taco Bell had these. Like, I guess they were like toys for kids' meals. Do they even have kids' meals? But anyway, they had toys there. And they were just thumb wrestling lucha masks.
Oh.
So you would put them on your thumb, but they were like a lucha mask.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was the coolest shit when I was a kid because I was a wrestling fan, a nerd already. And I was like, holy shit, like wrestling's being represented. And that too was like not even, it wasn't like, oh, this is WWE and Taco Bell. It was like Taco Bell just made lucha masks.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, just even cooler to me because it was like, oh, they just like wrestling, you know? So I really like that idea.
But also, to me personally, it's kind of cooler when it's an actual promotion or an actual wrestler. Because I feel like a lucha mask is more for like, again, mainstream like symbol.
Right.
And of lucha in particular, not necessarily professional wrestling in America or in Europe or wherever.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like even cooler when it's an actual wrestler, an actual promotion.
Yeah.
Because I recently saw on some like social media post of some like popular blogger, I can't even remember, that was completely unrelated to wrestling and had a Danhausen gif in it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that popped me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
happy
Yeah.
about it.
Danhausen's really good at kind of like pushing the envelope on where these barriers of like the wrestling world and just like general pop culture kind of is. And he's really good at it. I was a huge mark for the Tony Depp and Ron Funches thing because then it got mentioned on the late night show or whatever. Yeah. I was like, this is crazy, right?
That's one of those things that
so like
makes wrestling mainstream.
And again, like even, and I think it's like indie wrestling being mainstream.
Yeah, it's not even a televised
right.
promotion
That's
with a contract.
that's the crazy thing because I think I mean, as we're kind of experiencing right here, like you can set up sort of your own little production 1-2-man skeleton crew and make a huge thing. Like if you look at tons of YouTubers and stuff like that, TikTok people, whoever, influencers in general, like the world is changing to that extent where really you see people like, I don't know, the top YouTubers of the world, like the Jake Pauls of the world, where celebrities, like movie stars and stuff, are trying to get the rub from the YouTubers.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Like the whole,
YouTubers
it's like
are just dominating the world.
Right, yeah. And just like influencers in general are just dominating the world. So it's cool because that gives an opportunity for wrestlers to sort of lean into more of an influencer sort of space, like the Danhausens of the world and stuff, where they aren't just wrestlers and stuff like that. Yeah, so I think that's should be a strong focus for all you young wrestlers out there. How can you permeate culture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a life hack. That's a piece of advice.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your brief WWE run a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it like kind of clashed with this wave of releases that happened this year.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were obviously unhappy about that, and I'm one of those people.
Right.
But then another thing about WWE and their releases that often gets criticized is the non-compete. And I wanted to ask how that influenced your comeback to the Indies and how that influenced you just trying to get back into the...
I think with the 30 days, because I only have 30-day non-compete, it wasn't so bad for me. Actually, kind of like a 30-day paid vacation, right? Like, because you're still getting, like, they're still running your contract for the next 30 days.
Yeah.
So it's a non-compete, but you're getting paid that whole time. So, like, you can't, I mean, it's hard to argue with it, right?
Yeah.
And actually, I hit them up to work an indie show, like it was like the last day of my 30 days. I was like, bruh, can I do this? And they were like, if you want to forfeit the last week of pay, you can do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
You know, you still fucking paying me. So I ended up not doing it, but yeah, I think, I don't know, the 30-day thing, I kind of get it, whatever.
Do you feel like non-competes are necessary with such a short run that some people have had in the company?
I think they see them as mostly necessary now because it's like there's competition now for them, you know. Even though supposedly each company doesn't view each other as competition or whatever.
Right.
Literally everything everywhere is competing against it. You know, even if you're just measuring in a way, it's, you know, it's comparative, so it's competition. So I mean, it's probably necessary for them just to not, I don't know. But it's kind of funny because if your contract runs up, obviously you don't have a 30-day non-compete, and you see things like Adam Cole and stuff like that just like show up.
Just next day, just
which I love. Adam Cole's
down.
the man. Like, he's a super cool dude. Yeah. So, but as far as like when I got released, fortunately, I don't know. I was in a really fortunate position when I got released. And I mean, I always stay in like a weird fortunate position where I'm just like, how did I get here? Like, what? Like, just shining on me, Taco Bell, just shining.
The magic of Taco Bell.
Yeah, the taco gods blessing me again. Because I was fortunate enough to be like pretty well connected in wrestling already. I already had contacts in ROH, New Japan, blah, blah, blah. And that was like, when I got the call, right? I get the call, I'm released, whatever. Hey, thanks. Sorry, it couldn't work out, you know? Right, yeah, right. And first person I called was William Regal because he was a huge component of me getting in WWE. So I called him, thanked him for everything or whatever, and he was just like, I had no idea. He was like, what? He was like, I feel like he was almost more broken up about it than I was at the time. Yeah. He was like, oh, right. And I was like, it's fine, whatever. He was like, oh, if you need anything, let me know. I was like, okay, cool, thank you, bye, you know, whatever. And then I immediately started calling promotions. Like, I'm driving at the time. I got the call on the road, and I'm just like calling everyone. And I was like, hey, budget cuts, I need dates. And they're like, oh, bummer, sorry to hear that. I didn't even know. And I was like, yeah, it's not announced yet, so shut up. And just got the call. Yeah. And then I call my girlfriend and tell her, and she's like, oh no, what? And I was like, no, don't worry though, because I already got dates like lined up. And she's like, how do you already have dates lined up? And I was like, I called the promotions immediately. And she's like, you called them first?
Before you called them?
Right. I was like, we gotta eat Taco Bell ain't free. Yeah.
Now it's free.
Right. Now we're eating.
Was your WWE run an overall positive experience for you?
Yeah, it was a really positive experience. I think the only negative part of the experience was like that weird like cloud over everyone. Yeah. Of like when the first wave of releases happened, and we're like, oh, there's gonna be more.
Was it kind of like you were just sitting there like waiting for it to happen a little bit?
I wasn't ever, because I'm like, I don't know, ignorance is bliss, and I'm an idiot. So, I was just like, just going to work every day. Like, even when I got the call, like I saw
like SpongeBob just.
right. I saw the like number, like a Connecticut number, and was like, oh, that's probably that. Oh, you know. And then I went home, and it was 30 minutes or whatever before my, which I was actually, like I said, I was driving. I was going to get, I was going to tan because potentially having TV like the following Tuesday or whatever, and it's Friday, and I get the call, and it's like 30 minutes before me versus Kushida airs on 205.
Yes.
So
Because your last match aired after.
Yeah, after like 30 minutes after I was released.
Yeah.
And so I just was like, oh, I gotta go home and like film me seeing that match or whatever. And I was just like, yeah. So yeah, overall it was a really positive experience, except for like that weird sort of, I don't know, and it wasn't even individual like fear of it. It was kind of just like everyone's on edge.
Yeah.
Which sucks too, because everyone there is like super positive and just like wants to see everyone just do awesome shit. Yeah. Like all the wrestlers and all the coaches and shit are like, oh, let's just make awesome shit. Because I mean that's wrestling, right?
Yeah,
that's
what wrestling's about.
It was strangely still very indie like. Like I thought I was going. It was like because you hear so much. I don't know. So like kind of horror stories or whatever.
Yeah, people say that.
Yeah. And I mean, there are like there's aspects of like, I don't know.
But also, I feel like there's a gap maybe between like NXT and 205 and all that and main brands.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I don't have experience there on the main rosters, so I don't know. But like a lot of the ideas that you probably see on 205 or on NXT and stuff like that are a lot of times coming from the wrestlers themselves and stuff, you know, especially as they kind of grow and prove themselves, then they get more and more freedoms or whatever. So yeah, it was kind of like, and I was kind of shocked by it because I was like, oh man, like I'm gonna go in here and they're just gonna be like, oh,
like in your ear, just telling you what to do.
You're wearing a taco hat and just like dancing and to have a conga line. I'm like, oh, I can't dance.
That's the only thing.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm scared of.
Yeah.
So overall, super positive experience. Yeah.
And WWE is ultimately still like the biggest company and the goal for a lot of people.
Right.
But I feel like recently in the wrestling world we've seen that there is life after WWE. Like say even Cardona recently like tweeted that WWE was his developmental, and he's like thriving.
That's
like
awesome.
never
That's
before.
brilliant. What a tweet.
So do you feel like now we're in the generation where WWE is really like not the one ultimate goal and there's really life after WWE?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, but wrestling has always sort of been like this one step behind the mainstream pop culture sort of like movements. And I mean that in like a technological advancement, almost in their stance and the way they position themselves. Wrestlers and wrestling companies and whatever have always been like one step behind. It's like WWE, for example, had probably one of the greatest networks to exist. Like the WWE network, when it was the WWE network, was it right? And now it's gone because I mean, whatever, get paid. But and then they're getting these like massive deals with like Fox and stuff like that. Yeah. When realistically, the future, which still again get paid, because today matters. But like here in the short future, who's gonna give a shit about Fox? Do you have cable?
Yes. I'm not a good person to ask. but a lot of people don't. I know.
Right, a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Like I haven't, like actually, like we ended up getting like a cable service with like a bundle package or whatever. Yeah. And I had it, this was like like the year before I was signed, and I had it for like a whole year, and I think we turned it on maybe like 3 or 4 times. And every time was for a wrestling show. I was like, oh, wrestling's on.
Mine for wrestling.
Right.
Wrestling.
And that's kind of the issue.
Yeah.
It's like, if they just still have the network.
It's not like they get more exposure by being with cable or network or channel or whatever. It's more like people are watching it because they want to watch wrestling.
I think the Peacock merger was probably more exposure for them, but the Peacock like app and like infrastructure, they should have just been like, hey, when you're buying this whole WWE network deal, you're also getting our like network infrastructure, right? Mm-hmm. Because then it would be good still. And then I don't know, like when it can become like more of a streaming sort of thing, and that's the thing too. Like wrestlers also, I don't know, they look at the same thing. Like wrestlers, they want to get on GCW for the exposure of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it's sort of the ass backwards way of looking at things. I know I'm like a bad example of that because GCW was my break, right? Yeah. But even in the moment, like it wasn't done to be my break because I'm clueless 90% of the time. So I was like, oh, like this just sounds cool to me. I'm going to do this with a 6:30 or whatever. But like if wrestlers would just go get their own exposure,
Yeah.
no one's gonna deny you a booking. Like you could literally be like a bad wrestler.
Yeah,
with the
but
right
if you
exposure.
have followers, if you have...
Right, like who's not gonna book that? You're selling tickets, you're selling streams, right? So yeah, that's the pro tip to the young wrestlers.
It's also like, as you said, GCW was your break, and I very vividly remember seeing you in GCW for the first time. I think one of the first times that I saw your matches was at GCW Backyard, actually.
Oh, that was the first.
Yeah, it was the first.
That was
one.
my first
Yeah.
GCW match.
And I remember, like, right after that show, your first match in GCW, so many comments, someone should sign him.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah.
But who knew that things would be better without the contract, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, and like it had to happen.
Yeah.
For it to be better without it, because like before it happened, it wasn't better without it.
Yeah.
But then it's like when it happened, I just got better at like wrestling in general. Like it helped a lot to go train nonstop for 10 months or whatever. You know, if other wrestlers could kind of get their exposure, I mean, that's just where we're at. Is like if you can get, I mean, like if MJF's audio went as viral, it was at AEW, right? But like if it went as viral when he was indie.
Yeah, that would be.
Then everyone's calling.
Sure, yeah.
Like, even if he wasn't a great wrestler, like obviously he's a great promo and stuff like that. But like, even if he wasn't already a great wrestler, like they probably wouldn't even look. They're probably like, oh, we'll just get him there. We'll we'll make a
for
great,
the viral factor.
Right. Yeah. So
get viral. I guess
get viral. And it's more just about consistency too. Like yeah. I mean, which you're probably experiencing a lot with ground up like YouTube, and that's like so grassroots, and that's so
let's wrap up with a stupid question.
That's party.
What's the perfect Taco Bell order?
The perfect Taco Bell order. You know what? Sometimes my perfect Taco Bell order is just like the surprise.
Okay.
Yeah. Which you would think I pretty much have like the Taco Bell memory, like it's like in the memory, right? But I don't know like the numbers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I will, and like they're always changing like their $5 boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I drive up, I'm just like, give me a $5 box and a number 6. Don't even look at the menu. And whatever I get.
I love that you're still keeping this, like, even though you've been in such a tight relationship with Taco Bell for so long, you're still keeping this, like, aspect of surprise and of mystery.
Yeah, you got to. You got to keep it interesting in a relationship. You know that. Yeah, you can't go years and not mix it up.
So if any of you guys go to Taco Bell today, just in honor of Alex Zayne, order a $5 box.
Order random. And just, like, and it's funny, too, because, which I don't ever order, like, I don't know, like, oh, no tomato or anything like that.
Yeah.
But like, if you're one of those people and you're like, oh, like, no tomato.
Just be that. You're a grown up. What do you mean no tomato?
Right? Yeah, be an adult.
You're an adult. Put the tomatoes back.
So like, and then they'll just be like, no, there's no tomato on that, and then you're like, oh, I didn't look at the menu. Yeah, but. Okay. Yeah, just go in blind. I like to go into a lot of things blind. I go into a lot of movies blind and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's an adventurous way to live life.
It's good. Like I'll just hear like, oh, like a friend of mine who's like a movie buff will be like, this movie's good, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go see it now. Like, trust your opinion.
So that's your life lesson. It might be about Taco Bell, but it's more so about life.
Yeah,
keep that aspect of mystery in your life.
It's the best. It's the best way.
And if you have anything to plug, this is the time to do it.
Oh, I got nothing to plug. Like
merch.
Hey,
social
merch,
media.
yeah. Buy my merch or something and follow me on something. It'll be super cool. I'll probably talk about Taco Bell until you unfollow me or mute me, and it'll be great. Yeah, you'll love it. Awesome. Or you'll be infected by it too and start talking about Taco Bell way too much.
I think I was talking about Taco Bell even before I started watching your wrestling.
Yes.
I was talking about
brother.
Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thank you for having me.
And you guys, give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe, tap the notification bell to never miss an upload. And until next time, goodbye.
Smash it. Wrestling has
more than one royal family.
Sorry.
Because